Welcome back to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman. We're going to spend the rest of the hour on our special report about legalizing recreational marijuana called Going to Pot. I spent 2 days in Northampton, Massachusetts, which was the first city east of Colorado where marijuana could be legally sold in a dispensary. We kick things off with an overview. When most people think of legal marijuana, this is probably what comes to mind. Denver, Colorado, the first major city in the first American state to legalize recreational marijuana. It's become big business here. It's even a hub of pot tourism. And it's everywhere. There are recreational dispensaries all over town, well over 150, more than all the Starbucks and McDonald's in Denver combined. If you miss one, there are billboards advertising them all over the city. Dispensaries even sponsor clean highway signs in and near Denver. Their presence is in your face, and the smell could easily be in your nose. Walk around downtown Denver for more than 5 minutes, and odds are you'll smell somebody somewhere smoking pot in public. Denver is an extreme example, well known because of its size. 620,000 people live here, and because this is where legalization happened first. So this is the image many people have of life in a place where pot is legal. This is Northampton, Massachusetts, where pot is also legal, a city of just 28,000 people. Northampton is, by any definition, a liberal town. 95% of voters in the city are registered Democrats or independents, and less than 5% are registered Republicans. There are rainbow flags everywhere, most flying alongside the blue, pink, and white of the transgender pride flag, and there are almost as many signs supporting Black Lives Matter. Northampton is located almost in the exact center of Massachusetts. It's 80 miles southeast of Albany, about 100 miles west of Boston. It's also just 45 miles north of Hartford, Connecticut, and about 20 miles north of Springfield, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Northampton is also very much a college town, another reason it's so liberal. 5 colleges, Amherst, Hampshire College, Mount Holyoke, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, are all within 10 miles of the city. Smith College is located in Northampton, which is why in 2016, when Massachusetts held a referendum on legalizing marijuana, few were surprised when Northampton voted yes. 70% of Northampton voted yes. And so, on November 20th, 2018, Northampton became the first city east of Colorado to sell legal cannabis products. The first sale was to the city's mayor, David NARKEWICZ. He purchased a cannabis chocolate bar, a bar he's kept for posterity.
We're actually going to be donating it to our historical society here in the city because it is a historic event. When you look at the arc of social movements over time, the fact that Northampton played a historic role in a major social movement in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I think that is significant.
And with that, Northampton was in the recreational marijuana business. It's now 9 months later, and we came to see if and how recreational marijuana has changed this city, the positives and the negatives, how it's profiting and costing the city itself, what people here are saying about marijuana, and how other businesses and business owners feel about it. Is it helping them too? We also came to check police stats to see if marijuana has led to more or less crime, and to see if, as many critics fear, that legal marijuana was making its way into the hands of children. We even had smaller quality of life questions. Are people now smoking pot all over town? Does the neighborhood near the dispensary stink of cannabis? Have signs and billboards made the new industry as ubiquitous as it now is in Denver? Or is this a different kind of legal marijuana setup and city? One big difference? Well, we've already shown you the dispensary. You just might not have noticed.
We can't put neon signs like they can do in some other states. And in fact, we weren't allowed to put even anything that looked like a marijuana or a cannabis leaf outside.
This is Northampton's dispensary, NETA, which stands for New England Treatment Access. It began as a legal medical dispensary 4 years ago, and because of that, it was the first dispensary allowed to open for adult use sales late last year. If you didn't know what was for sale inside NETA, you'd never know it from the outside. It's a refurbished doctor's office, so the building looks the same as it did before, and unless you're walking on the sidewalk right next to the building, you can't smell what's inside either. And all of that is by design.
We've always wanted to be good neighbors from the beginning, and so that included issues of parking and odor and just being a good neighbor.
For as odorless and nondescript as NETA's dispensary is from the outside, it's the exact opposite inside. The smell hits you the second you walk in. Think of the smelliest marijuana smell you've ever experienced, then triple it. It's like a wall of marijuana, and the marijuana itself is everywhere in the dispensary, mostly prepackaged in various forms for use, and sealed storage containers filled with the stuff. And while this may be the pot you remember from college, there's a lot here that you might not have seen.
I'll also need 1-to-1 CBD cubes.
There are marijuana capsules to be taken like Tylenol, a THC mist inhaler, that's the active ingredient in marijuana, just like the inhalers people with asthma use. There are cannabis drops to add to food or water, sort of like Kool-Aid or Crystal Light drops. Marijuana-infused gummies and chocolate bars, each square labeled contains THC. Even THC suppositories for people with gastrointestinal or other issues, and marijuana-infused cooking oil. It can be used topically or...
It's actually a grapeseed cooking oil so that you can make your own edibles at home.
And yes, NETA has even produced a cookbook for that oil, complete with recipes like pesto canna-parise, netta bruschetta, double-baked potatoes, and others. As you might expect, we also had a lot of questions for the people at NETA. From how the business works, to the revenue the dispensary makes for both the state and city, how they grow and make all their products, what they do to keep the business and their customers safe, and of course the customer experience, what they're teaching people who come in and what those customers get from it. But the commitment of NETA's staff seems beyond question. From Jake, our patient service associate, other dispensaries call them bud tenders.
I'm a combat vet and I suffer from PTSD, which inclusive that anxiety is a part of it. CBD has been a life changer when it comes to my anxiety.
To Leslie Laurie, NETA's regional director for Western Massachusetts. Before starting at NETA, she spent 40 years running a community health organization in the area, and at NETA, she's still focused on health and cannabis.
Because of the work that I did in terms of addiction prevention, what I was really interested in was seeing any kinds of interventions that there were, and medical marijuana seemed to me to be really the next important avenue.
It's a focus on health and healthcare that's noticed and appreciated by NETA's customers.
It was great. It was really informative. I came here for information. I was looking for a solution to a problem. I have an elderly mom with anxiety who doesn't want to eat. Just one-on-one with somebody, talked to him. I gave him exactly what I needed, exactly what the problem was, and he had like 5 different solutions, and non-medical, because she refuses to go to a doctor for it. So now we're going to sneak in some chocolate.
It sounds like you're describing a trip to the pharmacy as much as you're describing a trip to...
That's what it was for today, for her. Yeah, because it just, if you don't eat, then you can't live alone. You can't function.
Up next, recreational pot is a big business. It's also a cash cow for local and state governments. After the break, I'll examine how much is being raked in by the dispensary and the city, and we'll see where all that money is going.